Thank you for joining CU Bands and Fans podcast. Our podcast is brought to you by Homegrown KIO. Homegrown KIO is on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. It is a stellar show featuring the great songs that have come from bands originating in Champaign-Urbana. Listen at 107.9 on your FM dial, at 1079wkio.com, or ask Alexa to play WKIO. Welcome to CU Bands and Fans, where musicians tell their story. And our guest tonight is not a musician, but she does a lot for the music community. And I think it's about time that we talk about it with her. And that would be Stefanie Pratt, the realtor that rocks, as you all know. Hi, Stefanie. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good. I want to talk about first where, and also say hey to our co-host Zach Witta. Hey, Zach.
Hey, good evening.
So I wanted to first touch base on your interest and how long you have been a realtor.
This is my 21st year I'm starting. So that's pretty cool. Last year I started off pretty strong, going on my 20th year, 20 million sold. So it was pretty crazy during COVID times, believe it or not. We ramped up. Those of us that actually worked. I helped out musicians as best I could. I know 90's Daughter came over and we did a driveway show for the neighborhood. Try to do some different things for them because I felt so bad. Here all my friends were struggling and here my business ramped up.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's pretty cool, that you do that. And that's the kind of thing I want to talk about is, well, first of all, before we get into the support that you do for the music community, what piqued your interest to become a realtor? What were you doing before that?
I was making everybody's dreams temporarily disappear. I used to sell beer.
Oh,
So I was a beer girl and I was a promotional model, but I was also a sales rep. So I did for 8 years. I sold for Orange and Blue Distributing, which was Miller Lite, Coors Light, all the Mexican brands. I did all the promotions. When you see the Miller Girls, we don't really have them, I don't think, anymore like we used to, but it was a lot of fun. Did promotions in bars and the special events, and I just enjoyed it. And then I just wasn't going to go anywhere. I didn't have a 4-year degree, so I kept getting passed up for things. And I realized I just wanted to do more. I got married. It didn't last very long. I call it my practice round marriage. So I was my divorce. So I realized I needed to do something and make my life for myself. And I couldn't go further in the beer business because of my not having a 4-year degree. So I just decided real estate, and I took the test. I did a home study test and jumped into it with both feet. I was going to quit, and there was a little force out because they found out that I was leaving. So I made them pay for it. And I collected unemployment, which was really hard for me because I'm like, I'm not a loser. My dad's like, it's what you pay into. So they kind of gave me that out to actually be able to do that. Cashed in my 401k, started working at Andre's Harley Davidson, and I just committed. And I got a little PSC printer and started doing some marketing. And the first year I did $1 million. And then after that, I did 3 million. And before you know it, that was the lowest I've ever done. I got rookie of the year. And I put everything into it because what goes down must go up. And I was determined to make a life for myself and not rely on anybody else. So I focused. And it's the easiest thing. It looks easy because everybody thinks it's easy, but it's not. I just don't share all the crazy stuff. I share about half of it, but it's great. It's rewarding to help people buy a house and to help them get it sold. It's just exciting. Like one of my clients, they just had a baby. We got them closed in December. And of course, they're on my Facebook and they had a baby. And, I just love to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it's fulfilling and you're extremely successful at it. And your marketing you're very, very savvy with marketing. And I appreciate witty, great marketing, and you have that. And you're
I've thrown some out there.
You're so well known. I think you're more well known than maybe even because if I mention your name, they're like, oh yeah, is that realtor, that one realtor lady? And I'm like, yeah, that's that one realtor lady. And they're like, oh, she's like a superstar. I want to meet her. I've had people say that to me literally more than just, a couple of times. So
No, while I know that, I still don't get it sometimes because I still see myself as me. And my friends keep me grounded. I mean, they know me as just who I am. I mean, I don't think about it sometimes. And it does throw me off sometimes when people actually come up to me and go, "Oh my gosh." A couple people ask for my autograph, I'm like, "For what?" I'm like, "I'm just, me." But I do understand that I have built my brand and I have become successful. And it's because of hard work and determination and never giving up. But I I understand that, and it's kind of cool. I mean, I guess that's cool.
yeah, you're kind of a public, kind of a public figure in Champaign County now. I
I kind
remember
of run
at,
into that. I kind of run into that too. I'll see people out in the street I've never seen before. I have no idea who they are, but they must have followed CU Bands and Fans. And I say, "Hi, Zach, I love your photos." And I say hi, and then I wonder, who was that?
Don't you
a
like
follow,
when I'm walking in Walmart or something, and the people I was just there a little bit ago to pick up some stuff, and just they look at me, and before at the beginning, I'm like, "What are you looking at? What are they looking at?" Well, now I get it. I'm like, okay, now it's like, okay. I'm like, I keep a low profile, and they'll just kind of laugh about it.
they're putting it together. When they see you, they're like, where do I know her from? Well, the billboards and, this and that. And, but I remember once I don't know if it was a rock show or, Red Hot Winter, but it was at the city center. And someone had said to me, "Do you know her?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's Stefanie." And they were like, I want to meet her. So I took them out to meet you. Remember that?
I remember, I think it was one of the bigger ones, like Sebastian Bach or 138 special. It was one of the ones that we did
Yeah.
together, like
It might
Warren
have
or
been
Firehouse or
that.
something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was Sebastian
Yeah.
when he was there
So
on that Sunday.
that's kind of how I come to meet you was through the music. And you used to do I think you did a fundraiser at, gosh darn it, it was that place that had the big crocodile.
Well, I did
Oh,
the Rockin' for Reasons when when
yeah.
we tried to bring in Brett Michaels. There was four of us that tried to bring him in, and that's when he came to Champaign and he had kidney stones. And we were doing it at City Center. And don't you remember that? And I got thrown under
Yeah.
the bus because I found out about it and I couldn't tell anybody. And he was going to be here. That guy will die on stage. He just will not let anything go. He wants to perform. He doesn't like to forget anything. He doesn't like to hurt anybody's feelings. He wants to be right there for everybody and he doesn't want to disappoint. So that's then when that didn't happen and we had to reschedule it, we tried to do it that same weekend. And I have one regret in my life that I can actually say. I got the opportunity after we had to postpone that and we rescheduled it for Sunday. They offered me to go on the bus to go with them for the next two shows as long as Brett could perform because they were going to release him the next day, but the doctor would not release him for our show. And I didn't go. But I did make friends with them and they did realize that I could protect him and keep a secret because it wasn't my secret to tell. Because he
Right.
did end up bleeding out on stage and he had to be rushed back to the hospital that Saturday night. So then he couldn't perform on that Sunday, which of course everybody thought that, he just was off doing something, which he wasn't. He was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And it's very
And
serious. So
you've been a fan of his forever, right? Like you are his fan.
the beginning. Yeah. I mean, he knows exactly who I am. He asked to see me last show and last fall down in Effingham. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, I know he's going to, but it just blows my mind still. And I'm very good friends with all the band. So they're like band family. I'm a B&B sister is what they call me. Brett Michaels band sister. But it's kind of cool, isn't it? Of all, I mean, to have your number one that you've known for 40 years pretty much and have always liked to be a part of their family.
I know
It's
it.
just it's so exciting to me still.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a thrill, it really is. It's still that kind of excitement that rises up that, you didn't let it get like mundane and like, oh yeah, I know Brett, whatever. But you're
Yeah, I don't have
still,
his number, but I have their numbers.
well, so you did these fundraisers for what purpose?
I thought it would be kind of cool to put something together and raise money for not-for-profits and bring music in. And that's what we were doing with that one. So then when that dispersed, I took it over to that other, it was Fluid Event Center. And
Yes.
it was hard because then City Center opened and then the manager there decided to go against me on the same night, which that wasn't kind of cool. I mean, that all dissolved, but it was also a little bit harder. Warrant had some issues because they had some problems back when they actually something happened. They didn't get paid to go on stage. And if a band doesn't get paid by the time they go on stage, they don't go. They're leaving. And national bands have a contract and you sign it. So that venue didn't actually pay them. And they said, well, we're going to go. And then, of course, all the fans are mad and then they blame the band, which is not the band's problem. So I had some of that to overcome with Warren. They really appreciated that I still brought him here. And I'm still friends with them. I go see those guys. I mean, the manager is so cool. So we always tool around. We always do a shot of tequila at the end. That's our thing.
Yeah. And you had Lita Ford.
We had Lita Ford, we had Jack Russell's Great White, still connected with them. Lita, not as much. I am connected with her manager, but he's actually with Queensryche sometimes too, Pilgrim. And then Firehouse, see those guys. Those guys are awesome. Saw them this last summer too, and Winger. So it's just kind of cool to actually be connected with them and to get to know them. But once I booked them, they got to know me. And the guy, I can't remember his name. I've got his card somewhere. I was just thinking about this the other day. He was actually the stage manager for Lita Ford when we brought him in. He pulled me aside. He gave me so much grief, but I just handled it. And at the end, he pulled me aside and he said, this is your first show that you've ever actually produced. And I said, yeah, by myself. And he said, you did a phenomenal job because your attention to detail was there. He gave me his card and he goes, I'm going to go on the road with Sammy Hagar. If you want to come to the show, let me know. I was like, what? Well, then I couldn't go that when he was at the state fair. And then, of course, he went on to another group. So I'm like,
oh my God. So you've got like these connections now locally. Well, how did you begin with the tag, kind of the realtor that rocks? Where did that come from?
Well, the big hair, I just blurted out the realtor with the big hair and the big heart. And it came out on when I do my commercials and stuff, sometimes I write them all out, but sometimes I just flow and it comes out. And that's my tagline I started using. Well, then I straightened my hair and I'm like, how am I supposed to use a realtor with the big hair and the big heart anymore? So we went to the realtor that rocks, and that just stuck. That is not, even though I went back to the big curly hair and stuff, it's stuck. So, and it's interesting. Tom Grassman was up in Wisconsin the other night on Friday, and he texted me that some realtor up there was doing the realtor that rocks, and she had her hand, but she had it wrong. And I said, well, that's really cool, but she needs to learn how to throw the horns and really be a little bit more rockerish because she looks a little bit prim and proper to be the realtor that rocks. He was laughing about it, but thanks for the photo.
That's hilarious.
But
so
I got
yeah,
a lot of views in that too, because I can't always use the realtor that rocks. That's why I can't put some of that on my tagline, because of the word realtor is actually trademarked. So they won't let me put it into a website or anything like that.
oh, didn't know
I can
that.
only use it the way I'm using it.
Yeah. And then you have you've become, explain this to me, because I see it all the time and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like the CI Living. Are you the sponsor of the CI Living community music?
The whole thing.
Oh,
the whole show.
Okay. Talk about that, because I was like, I don't think this is just music. I think they seem to be talking about community and so explain that.
I started off with the CI stage. They offered me the CI stage because we had a little problem with me being able to sponsor anything on Channel 3 because of some things that happened with our company name and all this other stuff. I won't bore you with that. But then they brought me on with the CI stage, and I wasn't getting as much as I was supposed to be getting from my package. And so when my new rep came on, she came up with the idea with them moving it to 3:00 that they really want to get me in as a title sponsor. And they thought I could actually work together with them and with using my name and using their name. So they offered me the title sponsor. So we worked out the details and the cost and what I get. And now I'm literally at Stefanie Pratt's CI Living, which is kind of cool. Some people realize they call me and they complain about the show, or they'll say, hey, can I get on the show? And I'm like, I have nothing to do with the broadcast of the show. I'm just the title sponsor, but I do have a relationship with Heather, and I have a relationship, Ryan, I call him the new guy.
Yeah.
when we did the party bus. So I can actually get information to them, but I usually just thank them. And it's kind of a nice way to connect with people too. I don't care if they call me at all. I just want to make sure they know that I'm not running that show. I'm just a title. And then I explain it and then I forward any messages to them.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, that's good to clarify that, on
it's
the
kind of
podcast.
fun though. I mean, Rod Sickler and I were talking this morning about Red Hot Winter and stuff. And he's like, I love the fact that you did that. He goes, way to go. I'm like, let's get something really cool that somebody comes up, because you got to think outside the box. You know me, Zach knows me well enough. My head just goes in 50 different ways to spend on marketing. And I get an idea and I'm like, poof, gone.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why, I messaged you for just to get some, marketing ideas for the, CI Direct webpage that we're doing.
and I'm doing more with the bus too. We got to talk about.
Yeah,
Too.
fantastic. But yeah, and you gave me some really good input, and because I know that you tried and tested, and you really, like I said, you've got some fantastic ideas. You know how to implement those, not just let them sit, which is the other thing, is you've got a lot of power and energy behind whatever it is that you're doing and whatever your name is on. You're
Sorry, my
gonna
dog.
that's all right. You're gonna you're gonna push that to whatever level you want it to be. And I respect that. Now, I've worked with you a lot. You've hired me, thankfully. I appreciate it.
Always.
To do your amazing birthday celebration anniversaries. Those are always so much fun. And you always have a band there.
Yep. I
You
always want a local band.
know? And so that's just a fantastic thing about you, is that you are so completely supportive of live music and the musicians. You have a lot of musician friends, and you have a lot of musicians that you don't know, but yet you still support the music community.
Yeah, somebody
And that,
asked me. I mean, I do. I mean, I believe that, there's everybody likes different types of music, whether I get to go out and see him very much or not. Like Joe Aslan, I'm so excited. He's actually going the way he's going.
that's
We've been
Yeah,
friends.
yeah.
He used to be on my real estate team years ago, but you didn't know that. And then he
Did
got
not
his
know
I
that.
landscape.
think she told me about that once.
Yeah.
I've known
Yeah, I
him
had
since
no idea.
He was like, I am not cut out for this. He goes, he had like one of the worst deals. He's like, I can't handle this. He goes, this is too much. I'm like, there's a lot of emotions in it, and you have to keep calm, and you have to keep people on track, and get the noise out of your head. And he was like, it's not for everybody. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
he went on to do what he did, and I hired him for my lawn care business for years. And I'm so proud of him. I mean, he's done it right. I mean, it takes a while to actually be successful.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna see so much from him now. I just think no holds barred now that he's made this decision to go full-time music, and he moved, and I can't wait to hear what he's got coming out now, because he's recorded, and he's just released a
Sorry,
he just
dogs. I had to stop
the
him.
other yeah. So yeah, and that's what I'm saying, is that you are a realtor. That is your main thing. But you've got all these different facets to support the music community, and it's very much appreciated. And I think a lot of people are like, how is she connected to music? She's a realtor. Well, here you go. Here's your answers.
Yep. My dad was a drummer. I found out when I was younger. Shelley Nail's dad and my dad played in a band together. I always heard about this late guy named Punky.
Oh,
And
cool.
I'm like, then I meet Shelley, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're Punky's daughter. I'm like, so every time we're together, we take a picture and send it to my dad. So I'm like, now I know where I get it. I'm like, you were a drummer. Okay, got it.
That is so cool. You just never know.
Music makes the world go round. Music makes you feel good. When I'm working from home, which I do most of the time, I have music on in the background. I've got it on right now. Well, it's low, but I don't want the noise of the TV. It's easier to actually have music in the background and just listen. And it just puts a zen to you.
Yeah. Yeah. It changes your mood and your perspective. I mean, it really can. It taps into so many different emotions depending on what you're hearing, what you're listening to. So yeah, that's now I want to discuss your newest. Well, I don't know how new it is now, but your newest adventure and business, which is the
How did I do this?
I don't know, but I seen it come across Facebook. I was like, what? The party bus, the limo, how did you get yourself into that?
I mean, I didn't need a limo business. I didn't, there was not expected. It's not like I said, oh, I want to have a limo business. It morphed. I always used them. We always like safe rides to concerts and be able to drink. And when I go to a concert, I want to get there and I want to lose myself, have a couple of drinks. And I don't want to have to worry about, okay, you got to drive back. And, it's a safety thing for us. And usually there's a group of anywhere from 6 to 12 of us that are going. Sometimes more when I do the bus. But at first, then the limos, when 2020 actually stopped, Larry's limousine sold to Michael. No, well, he sold to another guy. Michael ended up buying it. Well, then 2020 hit, and of course, obviously, everything was shut down. So Michael called me in October and said, "Hey, I guess it was September. You want to buy one of my limos? I don't know when these are going to start back up, and you always used them. Like, I need a limo for. I mean, where am I going to keep it? Whatever." Larry said, You can keep it out there," and I'm like, "Well, what? Really?" I'm like, "I need a limo." I'm like, it is totally the rock and roll scene, back in the 80s and 90s of the limousines, you think about all the songs with it. So I bought it. I was like, I tried to talk myself out of it. My dad tried to talk. I'm like, you talked me out of it. He couldn't even find a reason not to. So bought it. Well, it got us out of town because everything was open, but Champaign-Urbana, unfortunately. I mean, so Indiana was open. Southern Illinois is open. There was 12 of us and we would just we would call ahead and I would actually schedule us and we'd go to 4 or 5 bars and we always stuck together. We didn't try to venture out and interact with other people. We just wanted out. And we went, it was all legal. It's not like we were doing anything illegal. And we had fun with it. And then people started seeing that I had it. And I'm like, okay. And I couldn't rent it because of the way it's insuranced. You have to have a separate insurance when you're actually going to rent it versus owning it and just having it as your personal use. Learned a lot about the limo and the bus business. Let me tell you. Then more people wanted it. So I thought, okay, driver said, and I've known him for 30 years. He's like, why don't you look at the party bus? So he started finding stuff. And I'm like, I don't need a party bus. Well, guess who got a party bus? So California was getting rid of all their natural gas or their gas because of the emissions. So this guy had converted a bus right before COVID and he couldn't really use it. So he was selling it. So I flew him out there. And he checked it out and drove it back. And some guy in a hotel was actually saying, hey, I wanted to buy that bus. I would give you, more money for it. And I'm like, no, we're bringing it back. So then the insurance stuff, it's $8,500 a year for that bus on insurance. It's crazy. When people think about the cost, I'm like, well, I will trade you costs because it's not a huge money maker. It's providing a service. It allows me to keep a driver on hand for us to go to concerts. And I mean, we went to 14 concerts last year, and all over the genres too, which was kind of cool. So it's just kind of nice because we didn't really have them here. I mean, thank God we're starting to get more rock and roll here, but that's what I want to go do or pop. So then the bus got going and then people want the limo and then he found another limo. So we got another limo. And now I'm buying the building. So I'm buying, Larry passed away, as you know, a year and a half ago. Well, a little near 4 months ago. And he was a really big mentor for me. I mean, I miss him very much. He's very, very special. So his daughter agreed to sell me the building. And then, so it's going to be used for the limos and the party bus and then half for storage. So I've got 2 boats and an RV and I got another RV going in there, but we just sectioned it out and I should be closing in March.
That's great that you got a place. It's not great that Larry passed away at all. No. And I was just going through some of my old phones and a few of his texts came up and I was like, oh my God.
I know.
That was just sad. Just sad. We do miss him. He was, he drove, they had me go with him to the corn crib in Bloomington when Zach, what's his name? Zach, Zach,
well, the country guy.
Which one?
Because I do country stuff.
Zach Tompkins?
No.
I know you're talking about. I do know names, believe it or not. I really do.
I know you know who I'm talking about. Zach and the
Zach something band.
This is horrible. Horrible.
Okay.
Sorry, Zach, if you're listening. Sorry. But anyway,
That's okay.
went with those guys, and they wanted me to just ride in the limousine and kind of be I was promoting it and all of that. So anyway, but Larry was the driver, and he put me in the back where there's the microphone thing or the intercom thing is, and he's like, check on you once in a while, and I'm like, sweet. So he would hit that intercom, be like, is everything cool back there, Terry? Do you need anything? I'm like, no, everything's great, everything's good. And so he was really, really fantastic. So
He's
definitely
he helped me a lot. He kept that building for me because he was going to sell it. So his daughter felt it was rightfully appropriate to sell it to me, and I wanted it. So I did. The Larry's Limousine's name's gone, but I did Rock and Express because I was trying to think of something, it's rock and roll. I mean, I bought the limo to go to music concerts and stuff like that. That was the key part of it. I thought I'd use it like 6 or 8 times a year. Well, that got thrown out. But it is nice. I mean, it costs, but it's a fun business. Like I'll be at the wedding showcase this Saturday, which I don't do showcases very much, but we take the bus and it does really good for that. So I just got 2 more weddings booked today that I was actually working on before I signed on for this.
So that's what you're doing, though, is you're booking that out.
Yeah, what I do is my part is, I mean, I own the business, obviously. The driver takes care of the vehicles, he gets paid extra to take care of the vehicles, make sure they're serviced, and run the drivers. And the schedules. I basically just do the marketing, do the payments, and that's it. And then I'm also adding in the mug option so people can actually have custom mugs for things. Because I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah, that was great. I seen that come across Facebook. I was like, this is sweet.
So I can make mugs for people, but might as well. That way they can have custom mugs when they want to go on their fun like bachelorette parties or whatever. Yeah. So I'll make a package.
Yeah. So you will rent these out then, or they can lease these?
Oh yeah, I can't. Yeah, they're always rented. The one limo is in service and one the bus is in service. The other limo that I bought just for my Stefanie Pratt homes, my business for me, it got hit by a drunk, coked up guy, illegal, and it's still out of service. It's done, but they had a little problem with a U-joint that actually popped the other night. So when we brought it home, so it's back in service. So it's still under insurance, $26,000 worth of damage. Came back from a Brett Michaels concert, by the way.
My God.
Yeah, July 29th. So it hit really hard too. I mean, we were lucky. She got out the other side. We always want people to get out on the side of the road, not on the street, but and she tried to get on the wrong side. He goes, no, I turned around, get on that side. That's what the drivers do. They let you know which side to get out. She moved over, got out. He hit it full force right where she was at. She could have been killed if she would have got out. He had no lights, drunk, coked up, ran. He had insurance for 6 months. So I got him on his 3rd month and no license, expired license. But insurance paid out.
Yeah.
But, here we come back with doing a safe ride. We do the right thing. So I don't know. I'm still a little irritated about that.
Yeah, I would be too. That kind of thing. There's no excuse for it. There is no excuse in this time and that we're living in for you to drive that way. There's no excuse for you to make that decision that you're going to do that. You have no excuse as far as I'm concerned. You need straight to jail.
But they don't think about that. They don't think about that because they're not from here. I mean, that's the bad thing. And, now I've experienced it and I've heard a lot more. So I think he's getting charged this next week for back in court again from the felony coke charge. Because here's the thing. Don't leave your coke on the front seat when you actually get pulled over by the police. I don't know. Moral of the story. Try to laugh about it because what else am I going to do?
My God. Well, that's amazing that she got out just in the nick. Thank God.
Yeah.
But
overall, with my real estate business, I'm very fortunate for what I have. I mean, I work hard for it and, I work around the clock. I don't go into the office. I have my office at home. So I'm on all the time. I may not be working 24/7, but my phone is on and I'm there and I'm responding. As you know, I respond pretty timely. Getting the Rock and Express up is really exciting. I mean, it doesn't take as much time as people think it does. Sometimes it does, but pretty much I can actually filter that through pretty well. And I I think we have a good business built up. I mean, it was really successful last year. We do Unit 4 schools too. The Unit 4, they don't have
Yeah.
enough drivers. The
Yeah.
driver shortage across the country. It's not just here. And they can't get drivers to drive. The way they put them through Illinois, especially a CDL and the passenger endorsement to get that on your license is ridiculous. And then people just don't want to drive for the kids. I mean, during the day. I don't know if it's unruliness or if they're just don't want to drive, but they're having a hard time. So we take the kids to and from their games, obviously dumbed down. It's not like, I mean, they can play music back there, but you know, there's no coal in there or anything like that. But
Yeah.
the kids love it and it's a safe transportation. And they've been about a third of my business last year.
Isn't that
So
something? You
yeah,
wouldn't even,
one of my drivers loves it.
yeah,
And the
that's
kids
fantastic.
love it. They're really well behaved overall. If they get out of line, we kind of let them know. Because here's the thing, I don't work for the school. This is my bus. If
Yeah.
you want to be going to your game, then you behave. If not, you're not going to your game. And they just like, what? I'm like, that's how it works. You can't talk. I'm like, oh yes, I can, because I don't work for the school.
You're out of the Rockin' Express.
I'm straight up. You know that. I'm like, God.
You are straight up, you are, and you are very attentive to whatever it is you're doing. You are huge at responding very quickly, which, you know, I always appreciate because I try to do the same, you know, with everybody. I don't want to leave anybody sitting like I didn't see their message or I didn't this. I'm like, if I don't respond now, I'll forget. So I have to give some kind of response. But okay, and then outside of that, what you got coming up is Red Hot Winter. You're a key
Title
sponsor.
sponsor there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a title sponsor. Rod and I just talked, and we're going to go on Stefanie Pratt CI Living to promote it. But it's always fun. I mean, I think I told him, I said, that is the best networking, the funnest event all year. I mean, I do a lot of fundraisers. Don't get me wrong. They're all great, but there's so much energy. And I always give my feedback. Sometimes I'm there on Thursdays when they're doing like the final rehearsal. He'll invite me and he's like, what do you think? It's too long. It's too short. And I mean, I've been every year for 15 years. And as I'm the only one that's ever made when he did 6 nights, 2 weekends. I went all 6 nights one year. And Liver didn't like it, but I made it. It was fun. Just the energy is so there for that show.
It's a very entertaining, fast-paced. I mean, they don't mess around. Like Rod's, you know, Rod's got this thing timed, like, and you have to meet that timing. That all the performers, I know those dogs.
Sorry, they're in the back.
Yeah. And the music there is, oh my God, it's so incredible.
And he does some good different stuff. I mean, you just never know. There's always a little bit of rock. I mean, there's Kenny Foster. I mean, all those, everybody's there. I can't wait to see what he does this year.
And it's local musicians.
Yeah.
And they're spectacular. I mean, if anybody hasn't been to Red Hot Winter, you have to go at least for one night and experience that. It's so it's a great show. It's a fundraiser, which is even more important. Is, you know, he raises a lot of money for whatever cause is chosen that year, but it's a very fast-paced, spectacular show, and it's extremely entertaining. So, and you know,
I look forward every year
for it. Yeah, every year. And
I'll go Saturday too. He's like, he goes, I'll put you on the list. He goes, it's like, I said, well, usually I come later or I'll just hang out. If you try to sit me somewhere, I'm like, unless I'm up front, I want to sit up front or not at all.
Or I'm going to be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you know, the place fills up, and it's like when I come in, it's always like, cause this happens just once a year. So like, when I come in, it's like, oh yeah, my Red Hot family. That's what it is.
It is.
Oh yeah. All my Red Hot family. You get to see everybody that you haven't seen, you know, literally you just don't run into them too much throughout the year. So it's just always good to reunite with everybody and reconnect and meet people, and and again, the show is it's just high quality.
Yeah, it is. And he said something about from Caesars, he's got a group coming in and he's got a good comedian. I said, you got to have the comedian. You got to have a little bit deeper comedian. I said, I know they've been a little bit more sensitive about stuff, but I'm like, here's the thing. I told him today, I said, you get up on that stage every time and tell people this is going to be, you're going to have some nudity or partial nudity. You're going to have vulgar, you're going to have this. And if you don't like it, if you think you're going to be offended, you can leave and I'll refund your ticket right now. He doesn't want a letter to the editor. He says it every year. I said,
Yeah.
why are you holding back? Let people actually be like thrown under the bus. I said, I'm in the front row. You can always actually use me. I mean, Claude Stewart used to use me all the time. I'm like, all right, whatever joke you want.
Hilarious.
So he's going to go back to that this year. He goes, you're going to like it. I said, you need gut busting. I said, we need to laugh at that stuff, not go, okay, that was awkward.
Yeah, I know, no.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
we want to laugh and enjoy ourselves because the last couple of years were a little bit too strict.
I agree. I agree. It's been very kind of pulled back, making sure no toes are stepped on or whatever. And you know what? And red hot's red hot. And
Exactly, it needs to be.
Exactly. And
I
I
got my
just
dogs. I've got WWEF back here, with the two dogs playing the puppy. I know.
Yeah.
Here's, I don't know if you can see the new one. That's Bailey.
Oh,
That's the little one. Yep, that's the
Oh.
one I rescued from she was a bait dog. And she has a lot of energy. So they're back there just, my Lord.
What did you call her? A what?
She was a bait dog. They used her, they would tie her up and put her in between dog fights and get dogs to fight, and they would chew on her. That's what her beginning life was like. And some
Wow.
girl found her and she couldn't keep her, so I ended up adopting her. And she gained from 21 pounds to 31 pounds fit. Scrap in the rug. Oh my gosh, she's usually good, but I'm tied up. So she feels that she can, I'm not going to yell at her as much.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you and Rod on CI Living. When is that going to be? Do you know?
February 23rd and 24th.
Okay.
So,
and then also, the link to, Rockin' Express will be on this podcast, as well as the link to CI Living. We're just going to go ahead and put that on there as well.
and I'm going to throw something out there.
Go ahead.
I can't say who it is, but I think everybody needs to actually, obviously very tied into a couple of the events around town. So the Summer Bash in Gibson City is the 17th of August. And it's going to be it's always a rock band. I mean, last year was 38 Special, did an amazing job. I remember Bill told me about it ahead of time. And he's like, he goes, you think it's going to be a big draw? And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a big draw. I love 38 Special. I mean, I love them. And Winger was right before them, but we'd already seen Winger a couple weeks before with Firehouse and Jack Russell's Great White, and it was supposed to be Steelheart, but he couldn't make it. So this one, Bill's like, okay, we're ready for this one. I said, well, we have got to figure out the VIP tent. And he goes, you're the one. So I'm going to help him with a VIP tent, but it's going to be a really big one. I think they're going to like. So stay tuned. It's probably going to be announced March. He might announce a little earlier. I need to call him tomorrow and set up a time to go meet with them, but I always help out with that and I sponsor it. And then we're going to do a stand for Sharon Andre's significant other. Sharon passed away. We're going to do a big event with him. I've already called the city center. So they're going to do something on a Thursday or Friday and do a local band. So I've already talked to a couple. So there's a couple things in the works. And then the David F. Palmer Civic Center is supposed to start booking rock bands. Ryan reached out to me. So I put him in touch. The board is a little bit held back, unfortunately, on doing some stuff, but he did say that they were working on things. He mentioned Slaughter and Vixen and those guys. And I'm like, well, I know some of the camp there. My friend knows them really well. I said, what about Firehouse and Warrant? So I got him hooked up with them because they're under different management companies for booking. So that's going to be something to watch. And Exit 210's back open too. I mean, as far as this year, to do some rock bands, and then the Decatur. So in City Center is supposed to be booking as well. So, and then Cadillac.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So City Center music venues. I'm so excited.
Great show coming up March 28th. and that's exciting. But yeah, because I was glad to see the city center begin to, have some shows again. They kind of went into a lull for quite a while. But as far as like this music community, what is your if you had any kind of advice for, let's say, venues or just anything like that, what would it be for today's music community as opposed to what it was in 2018, 19, because this is different.
Well, like I told, when City Center, when Ben Wagner was actually booking, you can't just do rock, you can't do country. Even when I was doing the rock shows and I was helping them, when they brought in like Warrant Firehouse at that point in time. And they were doing, that's when we brought in Sebastian Bach and all. And they were going through, I said, you can't just book one genre. You've got to do a little bit of both. People were actually out there saying, oh my gosh, thank you, because we love country, but it's like country. And they wanted a mix. So doing the alternative rock, doing the country, doing the jazz, doing that different stuff, they've got to do a mix. And if you don't actually do an equal mix somehow, you're just going to be one crowd. And that's totally fine if that's what you want to do. If you want to be a country bar, go be a country bar. If you want to be a rock bar, be a rock bar. But if you wanted to get a variety of people in, you've got to go for some different acts. And the 80s and 90s rock bands are all touring right now, and they're not going to last much longer. I do have some ins right now telling me from last year, they're looking at the last few years of their tour because they're just, it's wearing on them. And once they had that break from COVID, they realized how much it wore on them. So now they're getting back in the swing of things, but they're going to start trending out. So go see those shows while you can. Just like Def Leppard, thank God they're still touring. Aerosmith, I didn't get tickets for them yet, but I'm going to try to get them now that once they get back into play. Foreigner, they said they were done. I hope they don't do a Kiss and keep it going, but I'm going to try to go see them one more time.
Yeah,
Did you go?
a lot of those bands have already gone.
Yeah.
Neil Peart died. That's the end of Rush. Huey Lewis can't hear anymore. That's the end of his band. And
yeah,
one by one, they're disappearing.
Yeah, they're all doing their 50-year tour.
And they all had, the ones that had kids, like Lita Ford. She came back out into play after she had her kid, and she got through some stuff. She came back, and that's why she's touring again. She was gone for a while. They all raised their kids, and they kind of took it light. Now they're back, so get them while they can, because you're looking another 5 or 10 years, we may not have some of these.
Yeah, that's exactly right. What about? Did you go see Journey?
Yes, I did. Yes, we were right up front. And they actually removed, I took, no, was it? Yeah, it was a Journey. Yeah, we were up we got a little bit higher up, but I am going to see, I already got my stadium tour tickets for Def Leppard and Journey. So it's Cheap Trick is with us instead of Heart. So we're going to St. Louis. Yeah.
So, and what do you think about, they're not emulation bands and they're not cover bands. They're, doggone it. That I'm so, today has been.
Hold on.
What,
oh my God. It's like having kids. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Well, people think that just because somebody died, like Janie Lane died from Warrant, what are you supposed to do? Dissolve the band? All of them are original except Janie's gone and Robert's there, and Robert does a great job, a phenomenal job as a front lead singer of Warrant. It's not a cover band. And I understand some people feel that way and go, it's a cover band because this doesn't have original singers anymore. Well, are you going to say same thing about our local bands, that the original members aren't there? You can't really, it's got to go on somehow. And I'm always conflicted on that. Just like Poison, they tried to actually redo Poison without Brett. That's just, you can't do it. It's like replacing Joe Elliott on Def Leppard. You just can't do it. Those are the ones that you just can't do.
And and Journey still gets slack, for Steve Perry not being, in Journey.
Good. I thought I heard something about him maybe coming back.
I did hear something about that too. That was interesting. I was like, huh. But I think this guy, he does, I think they do a good job. He sounds good. He's really energetic on stage and has a good presence. And I mean, he hits all the notes similar to Steve. So you can't really tell too much of a difference unless you hear him talk and then you hear that accent.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they're still doing all the, classic Journey songs. So yeah, I was sorry that I missed that one. But there's a big rise in and they're not called cover bands. What are they called, you guys? Where they come out as like Fleetwood Mac. They cover
Tribute,
huh?
tribute band.
Huge rise in tribute bands right now. What do you
I saw an Elton John one when we went down. We took the limo because we didn't want to fly during COVID stuff. And Atlanta that's when Guns N' Roses tribute band was actually down there, and they had Lita Ford and my buddies from Brett Michaels was down there. So the second time we were going to go, it got kind of called out. So we went back to Nashville, but we found 38 Special, and we went out to see that. And then we went to a bar and we found an Elton John tribute band. He was phenomenal. I was like, oh my gosh, I was looking around like, you could literally think that he was Elton John. And I told City Center, I said, some of these bands, I think you ought to look into, like Def Leppard. I'd love to see the one, something rocks. I can't think of the name. They actually, somebody said like them on my Facebook. So, and one of the musicians actually friended me. But there's some good ones. Huh? Was that? Rock Brigade. Rock Brigade. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
But I think they do a really good job. I mean, and there's one with the Pink Floyd Experience.
Yeah, and
that's over in Bloomington.
There's a Fleetwood Mac one, and there's Eagles.
There's an ABBA one coming to town.
Which one?
Yeah, and I think that.
Oh, I did see that. I think I'm gone. My friend Michelle asked me about that.
Hotel California is what it's called. That's the Eagles tribute band, and I got tickets. Somebody bought me tickets because they were going to be at State Farm. And they canceled that. It was back in the summer. They canceled it, but they rescheduled for March. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. But my thinking was exactly what you said. I'm like, why doesn't the City Center have these tribute bands in? They sell tickets.
They do.
You're not
going to have your original. Just because you don't have your original members. What do we do when we go to concerts? Yeah, we want to hear some new stuff, but really we want to go back in time and hear all the stuff and sing them. We're not singing a Def Leppard and singing the new stuff that we don't know unless we've actually, I will say Def Leppard does the best job of recreating a new song and still having the same type of sound. And you really like it. They're very talented. But I would say we want to go sing those songs. And you complain about tribute, but yet you'll go sing the same songs that they're singing anyway. Why not have a good tribute band?
Yeah, but I think that would be. I mean, I think that would be successful if the City Center would do that. But that's our opinion. Now, that being said, gosh, I lost my train of thought because I was gonna.
That's okay. We could talk like that.
Yeah, I was gonna close this out with this really cool thing about that. I'm terrible today with my focus, I guess. Okay. But I just think that that City Center would be perfect for that. I think tribute bands are a thing right now. They're on the rise. They're everywhere. I couldn't really understand the Hotel California being at the State Farm Center.
I don't get that, but okay.
I don't get that either. I'm like, really? But maybe they'll sell it.
Some of these bands are actually authorized by the singer to be a tribute band. Like I saw a Stephen Piercy one out in California. He was great. I saw his picture somewhere. He looked like Stephen Piercy. He was a Rat tribute band. And I told Stephen that when I actually met him, and I knew the big security guy, Sarge, and he got back with Stephen, and Stephen, he's totally cool with me, totally nice. But by the way, they're coming, Quite Right and Stephen Piercy, and who else is with them? Why can I think right now? Over in Bloomington in March.
Nice.
So they're over there. Nice. And Stephen's back sounding really good. He just was at the Whiskey A Go Go, is what I saw on his Facebook page.
Wow.
So, but I think these guys will be good. We need to have more of that stuff. Like Hairbanger's Ball. We went to there on New Year's Eve. What a show, as usual. But they drew in at the Cadillac. They sold over 650 tickets the night before Thanksgiving.
Airbangers Ball is a big draw.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody loves them, like everybody, and they're a big draw. Like, so definitely, venues, you need to be booking these that, but please stay with our local,
Yeah.
by all means, have locals opening for them, have locals playing as much as possible and as many places as we can, because the venue's gone down, diminished as far as like where and how many there are.
We don't have what we used to.
Not
Remember we
what-
used to have Cowboy Monkey? I'm hoping
Yeah.
Cowboy Monkey's getting their stage. I heard that there's the stage going back in. I'm waiting to hear.
I heard that too. I heard that. Yeah.
And High Dive. I mean, those great places
And
to have. But
Valley,
we also lost a lot of live musicians. COVID took a lot of them. I mean, they moved. Jeremy Harper. I mean, Andy Moe. I adopted Andy's dog. That's my senior dog.
Yeah. Yeah, those fantastic musicians like that have moved. Like, yeah, Jeremy and Andy and now Joe, and there's there's a ton of them. If we listed them, it would be like, wow. Which I always hate to see them go, but I wish them absolutely the best. We miss them immensely. And that's one thing about Red Hot that I love, is we get to see Jeremy. Back.
His stage presence has even gotten better. I saw him at Pippa's and Tom's show, and I'm like, I told him, like, there's something different about you since you've moved. You just have such a calmness and such a more of a rock star attitude that I've ever seen before out of you. And his presence was just different. He goes, thanks for noticing. I'm like, you're welcome. I knew him back when I was a beer rep and he was a manager for OTB. That's how far back I go with him.
No kidding.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite people. Just one of my favorite people.
Yeah. We got we're very fortunate to have a great local musician group, and we did lose some, and we have some building up again. Friday Night Live really works well. I was able to make it down to more this year than I have before, which has been great. And I think that's coming back pretty nicely.
Yeah, it really is. Zach, did you go to any of those this year?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I think I saw you down there.
Probably at least 4 of them.
And then
backlogged on photos. I took photos too somewhere.
You are backlogged. You are. And then the Great Cover Up.
I know.
Yeah, that's one I've tried
that.
to get to every year.
I think that is so cool. And I know it came back different this year and I missed it. It was in a different time frame. So usually January is when it's hard for me.
Yeah, and they had it in September.
Yeah.
And
that was really good.
What a tremendously wild, exciting, amazing show that we get to have here. That's crazy.
I think it needs to be promoted more. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do think it needs to be promoted more. It's because it's changed a little bit. So I'd like to see more out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah. I mean, we follow it, so we don't, what they post is like, oh, okay, this is that. So we'll share that and that kind of thing. But we'd be glad to promote it more. And that, well, what I was going to say was like, so you were there at 38 Special at City Center. My God,
Yeah, we still have the picture of, remember that he looked right at me, the keyboard player. He looked right at me and he pointed, and you got that picture right there.
Yes.
I went right up front.
I was right there by you. Like most of the night, it was like, they were so good and they sounded exactly like they always sounded. They're
phenomenal.
They're
just phenomenal.
Yeah. That was one of the best.
Donnie always looks at me like this. I'm like, at first he'll look at like, why do I know her? And then he'll sing Somebody Like You. And then be like, oh, there's that girl. I can see the look in his face going, oh, there she is. They did Somebody Like You, the whole song this year up in Gibson. And some girl in front of me, they were just doing selfies, her and her boyfriend. I was just like, get them out of the way.
Get out of the way.
Move. So I got up there and he just looked right at me.
Miranda Lambert on him.
It's like, get out the way. But I remember you were like up front. I'm like, can I have that spot? And then that girl next to me didn't know the songs, and her boyfriend wanted her up there. I'm like, why are you taking up space?
Yeah, right.
But I was teaching her. I try to teach her songs because I can sing them all.
Yeah. This is what is so fun and great about music and about our music community is like, oh, it's like, remember we we were at that same show at the same time, and oh my God, there was this and that, and you can still laugh about it and remember that, that exuberant happiness, and that's what is so fantastic about this music community. It's just phenomenal, and you meet so many people. And
Yeah, and I tried it when I do the shows or when I'm involved in them. I always try to get, if they're going to do a national band, I'm like, let's do a local band to open for them, because that's obviously one, they're going to draw, and they're going to draw their people to it as well, and help promote it. But it also gives them exposure connected with that band. I just don't
exactly.
like it sometimes when they do the wrong like genre together, and it's like, why are you doing pop and it's basically country? I'm like, those aren't going to draw, because then the first group is just going to leave. You want them to stay.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're always, we are always advocates for our, getting our local bands to do, it's somebody, they always come to us like and ask, do you
Big
know?
Guns. Big Guns is out there big time right now. I know
I
Kelly
they
Hazel has the best stage presence as a guy front singer. I mean,
are.
no offense to anybody else, but just the rock and roll part, that guy is he's just Kelly Hazel.
They've got it down. They have that whole classic rock vibe going on in appearance. And I just posted about them the other day. I'm like, this is a band that not only plays classic rock with the most talented musicians, but their appearance and vibe is the whole classic rock experience. I mean, that's what you're going to get with these guys. And they
and I love it.
They're hitting it hard. They're going to play at Exit 210.
I know,
right
and I'm gonna miss them. 38 Specials up in Terre Haute. Big Guns is at Pippa's, and then I think they're at Exit 210. That whole weekend, I'm gone on my vacation. I'm like, really?
Oh man. Well, but anyway, they're booking quite strongly right now. So hopefully, you'll get to catch them, and several other bands. Our event list
90s
is
Daughter.
yeah. Our event
Tom
list is growing.
Grassland band. I mean, it's nice that they kind of branched out a little bit. Like
I
Tom
like
does
that.
his thing, and he's doing a lot of acoustic stuff. So, Hickory River over on the fields, they're going to start doing music. I was talking to Mike Moore because he obviously owns the Brass Rail, and they're talking about, I guess Tom Grassman is going to take care of a lot of his bookings and stuff. So they're going to try to do some acoustic stuff at Brass Rail and over at the Hickory River. I told him, I said, why don't you do Sundays? Because Buford's is doing Sundays. Like there's different ones that are doing Sundays. What about doing like a Wednesday or a Thursday? Wednesday and Thursdays used to be pretty good out. And we just don't have that as much. So they're going to try to actually do some like 2 or 3 hour stints in those places.
Yeah. And there's a place in Ogden, Illinois, because Ogden's trying to
Billy Bob's.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
Is it Billy Bob's or is it new one?
Riches. It's
Riches,
actually
okay.
but they're trying out like acoustic music. David Howie's got the month of January booked. Yeah, David. So so there's these little places and ideas that are popping up. Because I think that people need to realize, especially any venue, there is a type and style of music that will fit that venue. There is. And it enriches, it's good, it's beneficial for the venue, no matter what the venue is. It's beneficial for them to have some kind of live entertainment. It doesn't have to be loud, doesn't have to be overwhelming. Like David playing this, he's acoustic, he's, it's just nice dinner music, And so there is a musician and a band for every single occasion.
Oh, there's this place, I just looked it up, live jukebox show is playing at a place called Rich's Restaurant in Ogden.
Okay, that's the new one. Okay.
Yeah, Rich's Restaurant.
Yeah, they decided to try let's try live music. And so Ken Cooley reached out to me and I said, well, I think he told me that what they were looking for or whatever. And I said, I think David Howie might fit that, fit that bill. So they reached out to him and
Sorry,
they
dogs.
They were running behind you up and down the stairs like crazy. So
They opened the door so they could just go outside. So they would just, shh. But they love to play together. You got 1 and 10-year-old, and it's like sometimes they'll throw each other down on the floor. I don't know if you saw my video where one of them just like slammed the other one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, chill out.
wait till you see the video when they're up and down the stairs.
Try to keep them quiet so I can talk.
I was watching. Anyway, we should wrap this up. It is 7:40, but we sure appreciate you being on our podcast, Stefanie. And if there's anything we could do for you as well, let us know. And this will be publishing tomorrow. You hang in there. Don't disconnect yet. Okay.
I won't, but thanks for everything you do, because you guys do a lot for the community. And, the more you're doing, like with your, you're trying to get people connected with venues and stuff. And I know we've talked a little bit about that more, and getting the party bus and, helping to market you. So I think that's a good idea, because so many people call, even me, for what do you think about this band? Do I need this band? Like Stan said, hey, I want you to be in charge of Sharon's thing. You find the band, you do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, cool. I get an idea. Yeah. Let me run with it. What's my parameters?
Yeah.
Don't give me restrictions, just give me parameters.
Yeah, there you go. I've changed that so much. It started out with look before you book, and now I've changed it to Central Illinois Direct Connect.
I need your new logo too.
Yeah, I need to get it. I need to make it,
because I'm redoing the bus platform as far as advertising on there. So
So, and you're on our advertising banner on that website. So we really, really appreciate it. So we'll close with that. So thank you, Stefanie.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Rock